This is the UX PM and all the dogs in my neighborhood barking meeting for October 7th, 2021. Follow-ups from last week. I just wanted to follow up on next steps for the job to be done stuff that we talked about. I updated the deck, but I didn't create to-dos in the UX research project yet. I can do that. I think I actually have job to be done, like validation issues already created for all of the categories. So I can assign those to you, put them in the proper quarter for when they'll need to be completed based on the schedule that we had laid out. And then as part of transition, walk through those with new PM coming on board. Does that sound like a reasonable step forward?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. Cool. I wasn't sure.
Sorry, you can finish.
I wasn't sure if you wanted to take a different approach since you're going to be obviously more hands-on with those than I will. So wanted to let you drive that a little bit.
Oh, yeah, I guess it's up to you. I can make them, but I'm also fine with just like being tagged and reviewing to make sure that they match up.
I'll take that as a to-do to wrap those up.
Okay. And there's already one for performance testing,
yeah,
even though that wasn't included in our.
Yeah, which I think you're going to start in the next milestone or the milestone after. Okay.
Yep, in 14.5. Yep. Can you just make sure to create them in the research project? I think you already were gonna.
I think they're all in the UXR project, and if not, I'll transition them over.
Okay, I sometimes forget to create them in there, so.
Fortunately, it's easy to move them around.
Yes.
But it's easy to also forget where to put them.
Yeah.
All right. Myself a to-do on that so I don't lose track of it, and assign. Okay. You want to walk through your priorities?
Yeah. Sure. I'll share my beautiful README file. So my highest priority is reviewing the MR widgets, which the performance load widget actually got merged, and that was a pretty tough reviewing process, I would say. So what we ended up doing was I met with Scott and Peyton around that, and there was a lot of like initial review that was going on that didn't really require getting it up on my environment. So I did that. And then what we decided was, let me just open up this MR too, so we're not just looking at a screen. So I used basically the screenshots to review for the first pass. And this doesn't actually include all of the final changes that will be made for this, because those are going to be pulled in from the core component extension. So there was a lot of styling changes that I commented on here that are going to be done in follow-up, but we do have this merge. So now you can see it in, it's behind a feature flag, but you can see it in this where is it? This one. Sorry, I was already looking at it, but you can see it actually compared to the old one here in this specific project, which is pretty cool. So now my next steps here is to do a more in-depth review and just make sure that anything that hasn't been vetted out yet, I'm capturing it in this single issue, and then I'll reopen this. But I'm doing this mostly for myself to make sure that we get these changed somewhere, and then I can update the status saying which issue this is going to be made in and blah, blah, blah. It's nothing functionality that needs to be changed.
It's just styling stuff.
Yep, exactly.
And I would assume that we're building this in a way that we can apply that styling to this widget, but in a global, so that when browser performance rolls in, that it just picks up those changes and you don't have to go through the same thing.
Yes, it should. Yeah, that should happen because browser performance and this one are so similar. That should work. There are specific things for some of the, like some of these might be able to just be made in the core component and then universally be applied as well to not just our testing widgets, but other widgets as well.
Cool.
Yeah, so that's what I was working on this morning, just making sure that it's okay responsibly. So that's my highest priority. Nice. Long story short.
I would encourage you, if there's already an issue open around feedback for the working group, dump your thoughts into that about the review process here with like between development and UX, and just overall, like as we have working groups that make changes, your feedback there would be appreciated, I'm sure, by the working group. And if there isn't one, create one and just apply the working group label to it. I don't know a better way to start, but that's at least we can get it into an issue to get your feedback there. Less about the widget, more about the process, right?
Okay. Yeah, I can definitely do
Awesome.
that. We also have a meeting for the working group today that I'm going to go to. I haven't been going to them, but I decided probably best if I start showing up.
Yeah, I haven't been going, but I've been watching the recordings. I'm actually a week behind, so I need to watch last week's today at some point.
Yeah. Right. Okay, cool.
Awesome.
Other than that, my other priorities is just solidifying that job to be done MR, which Hayana is back today. So she said she was going to look at it today or tomorrow. And then I have a lot of design issues for 14.4 that I'm still trying to finish.
Okay. Yeah, I know the iterations on the project quality summary are in there.
Yes.
And did you see I think I tagged you on the new iterative steps that we're going to take with project quality summary?
I think I did. Was that more about the implementation? I think it was.
Yeah, we're going to just build the empty page. Then we're going to add the existing test coverage data point to it. And then we'll add the test execution data point to it. And then we can iterate from there. And I'm also going to add an issue to create a feedback issue, or I'll create a feedback issue and I'll create an issue to add that once we have it launched, per the discussion that we've been having over the product channel about more ways to get feedback from customers. I know this is an ultimate feature, but I think it'll be an interesting way to get feedback directly back from some customers who are using it, because I want to do some pretty heavy promotion, even if I'm already in pipeline execution when this launches, help do some pretty heavy promotion with the product manager who is running testing, or is not running, is in testing at the time, with those TAMs that we have talked to and customers we have talked to about this already, so that we can get that feedback directly back into the issue. I think that'll set that product person up for success as well with iterations on that feature set. So I'll do that today.
How are you expecting to get feedback?
So we have a process in product where we create feedback issues. When you launch an MVC, in the release post, you put it, or you list the issue that's where we're expecting feedback, but that doesn't generate a lot. So Eric Shooter actually posted yesterday about all the feedback he's been getting from his feedback issue around the wiki editor. And I commented, I was like, this is awesome. I've never gotten feedback on these feedback issues, or it's been very minimal. Like, it's been internal feedback only because we have gone out and requested it. And he had like 20 comments from customers. I said, how did you get this? He said, oh, we put it on the page itself. Like, when you use that feature, you get a banner that shows you that you can leave feedback about that feature. So I want to do that on that specific page of, if you're using this, tell us about how it's going, which we can do with a banner notification, like a site notification, for a couple of weeks after launch, or a couple of months after launch, even potentially. And then that'll just link directly to the issue and you can leave your comments there.
Okay. Do we need to make an issue for like getting that feedback?
Yeah, I'll handle all that. Yeah.
Okay.
It's an existing process. There's an existing tool that we use for the notifications itself. It's not something we have to build as part of UI. And then it'll just link over to our issue.
Okay, that makes sense. Great.
Cool. Let me create that to do too.
Yeah, that will be cool to get feedback that way. And issues. I didn't realize that that was part of the process.
Oops, that's not how that works.
Okay, I have one other thing.
About this build log issue.
Yeah, that's actually what I was just gonna do. I was going through the issues that were tagged with UX and I found this one, which was really highly liked. God, when you oh my God, when you sort by popularity, holy crap.
It's a very popular issue.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, so I was wondering if this would be, like, I was wondering your perspective, if this would be something that would be good to take on for 14.5 as a stretch. I read through it and it seems like, I mean, it definitely needs UX and it seems like it would be somewhat quick to do.
Tell me about the UX
Of this issue.
Mhm.
So I think it seems like it's more of like a settings option that you would be able to add optionally, like, I don't know, click to automatically expire build logs, and maybe even add an option to set it to expire after a certain amount of time. And I think that those types of settings are already used throughout GitLab. So I feel like it could be a reusable pattern.
We use similar keep artifacts. Struggle today. Seems similar to the keep artifact from latest successful pipeline feature that we have. And we might just extend that feature to be job logs as well, if it isn't already. That's, I think, the pattern that I would, that's the pattern I would replicate because it's the pattern we already have. And I would treat the job logs the same way we treat the job artifacts.
Okay, I did not see this and I need to look at that.
This is,
but we're still,
this is an interesting feature that has caused some consternation because of our abilities or inabilities to get those things deleted quickly after they are not the latest. And
yeah.
if you have a failed pipeline, it keeps those. We are cleaning that up. I'm surprised that job artifacts or job logs aren't just treated the same as job artifacts, to be honest, in the code, where you don't have the logs anymore after expiration.
Yeah.
So
they're not kept anywhere.
I mean, they're kept. I don't know. I don't know that there's a setting for, hey, expire these things.
Okay. Well, yeah, if that's it, I'm gonna look into that a little bit more. But if this is something that we're already doing today, I feel like it could be an easy fix. I'm saying easy, but it probably won't be easy.
How to remove job logs. Yeah, right now it looks like there isn't a way to automatically expire job logs. So we would add functionality to automatically expire them. Here's that info. So there's docs about that. Yeah, I agree. It's a popular issue. We should have a better method for expiring job logs. And we should probably, I wonder how they fit into your quota for usage, disk usage.
Sorry, what can you?
So you're
explain?
As you can take up so much space with your artifacts and your repository. You have a free amount of space and then you have to pay for extra storage. I wonder how job logs fit into that.
That's a good question.
Actually, I don't know. Haven't really thought about it because the artifacts themselves have been always the thing that they're taking up so much more space.
Yeah. I also would like to just see what the options are in the CLI right now for removing job logs. Can you just pick any time that you want? Like it says delete all job logs older than 60 days. Can you select?
Sure looks like it.
Yeah, interesting. Okay. Anyway, does that seem like something that it would be worth exploring in 14.5?
I think it's worth looking into, like, I think some problem validation is good, or just understanding what the landscape is. I don't know that we
Okay.
need to start on any solutioning right now, to be honest.
Okay.
That's how I would approach that from the product design UX research perspective. If we can follow an existing pattern and treat these things the same way we do artifacts, I think that's probably the best way to go. But understanding if users are having issues with job logs and persisting job logs and not being able to, it looks like they're a lot easier to delete than artifacts are, because the artifacts API is woefully inadequate. You have to do it a job at a time. You can't bulk delete, which is what we're working on next. And that's going to solve that giant hammer of just dump all of my job artifacts at once is a small step towards that.
Okay.
Cool. So you feeling okay about that with the approach forward?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Say, did I clearly explain why I'm thinking that we should not prioritize this right now? I guess is what I really should say. Okay.
Yes.
Awesome. It's less of, did you understand what I said, and more of, did I say it clearly, is what I was going for there.
Yeah, I
Awesome.
got that.
All right, so we already talked about MR widgets, I think.
Yeah, I think that's all I have.
It looks like we're making good progress there. My priorities this week, I'm going to share my screen. It's always a crapshoot if can James find the right screen. What am I working on? Transition issue, I'm working on direction page updates this week, which is part of our normal flow. And then also I created some competitive review issues yesterday that are in the product project. I'll assign those over to the new person, the new product manager as they come on board. It's less focused on single competitors and more, here's a feature set that we have, and here's some of the competitors that are playing in the space, is how I've arranged them a little bit, which is different than what we would normally do, but that's how I lumped it together because I was doing it as part of a direction update. And then continuing to work on the customer journey research. I need to get the insights created from last week's interviews. I'm going to do that this afternoon. And I didn't have any interviews this week. I have some next week. I need to try to pull those other ones forward still, just so I can get it wrapped up. And then I'm still working on content and refining the content for that sales enablement session coming up later this month.
Cool.
I think Scott, go ahead.
I was just going to say, for Dovetail, one thing that just recently came up from the research team is that we should not be using full names for participants anywhere.
Okay.
Just FYI, because I had done that in my insights in the issue and for my Dovetail names of like the data.
Okay. Good to know. The only other thing for me, or the other thing in there, is Scott is starting on his stuff. And we had some interesting feedback in an issue yesterday from engineering productivity, looking at how do we measure job durations and tracking those over time, which fits into Scott's research issue very nicely. So I tagged him on that, and I'm hoping he gets to get some interviews going next week. Crossing my fingers for him to get going on those soon. And otherwise, I wanted to just follow up on the UX labeled issues. I created an issue for us in 14.5, which I think it'll probably just tag team between you and Scott and I, and we'll get it all knocked out. Of just reviewing old MVCs, making sure that there's not UX debt that we haven't cleaned up, and if there is, to create the issues for it and label it appropriately. And then just look at the existing backlog of UX issues that are for testing and see what in there is UX debt, because we've not had good label hygiene when it comes to that. And I think that that'll wrap up that MR around saying 30% of our time is a split between tech debt and UX debt.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I added that to my 14.5 issue, planning issue. So I have set time aside.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to ping Hayana on that today, and if I don't see anything, I'm going to merge it and then just put it on her and I's agenda for next week to review. That approach will work, and then we'll go forward from there.
I did speak with her this morning about it, so she's aware.
Sweet. Okay. Anything else I can help with? Anything else you want to chat through? I believe I have a schedule to record our 14.5 kickoff next week.
Yep.
Next week's going to be a short one between a holiday on Monday and friends and family on Friday.
Yes.
And I'm moving my friends and family forward. I'm going to take it tomorrow and then work next Friday just to make sure I'm all caught up on all the things before the end of October.
Okay, that's fine. And I am anticipating that I'm going to need a little bit to free up some more time once you transition out and the new person transitions in. So I'm keeping that in mind for planning for the next couple milestones, just so that I have some time set aside. I
have 14.6 and 14.7 planning issues already created, and I have scripts already written, and I have Gina content here just as a tag. So if you want to start looking at those milestones, I asked Scott to review for the big themes and the big issues there, but I'll tag you in those as well if you're not already, or link those over to you so you can take a look. I want to make sure that we have UX or the design stuff, if we need design for big things in 14.6, 14.7 planned out ahead of time.
Okay, I took a look at 14.5, but I didn't take a look at 14.6 or 14.7.
Yeah, those are out there. Those are ready to go.
Yes. Okay. And I haven't looked at the script either yet. So
okay.
I'll make sure.
I'll tag you. I'll make sure you're tagged in all those before the end of today.
Okay.
All right.
I'm going to add myself to action items after too. All right.
On YouTube right here. Start live streaming this. I'm sure we'd get a ton of viewers.
Sure, everybody would love to see it.
Watch me struggle typing.
Oh God.
All right. Well, I will see you at the testing call in a couple of minutes.
Yep. Sounds good.
Thanks,
Okay.
Gina.
Bye.
Cheers.